My name is Ethan. Welcome to Lancaster Community Television Station. I am here interviewing the one and only Dr. Johnny Vega, JP McCaskill alumni, a man who's active in the community and giving back to the youth in need. How's it going, Johnny?
Ethan, thank you for having me on the show. It's an honor. I've been on podcasts and interviews all over the world, all over the nation, and this one's special to me. This one's real special. I'm super proud of you, brother. Words fully can't describe you as a man. I've seen you since you were a young man, a kid. You know, I gave you your first I gave you an opportunity to do a spoken word at, what was it, Lancaster?
The Chambers?
Yeah, at the Chambers. And I heard about this, Ethan Poetic, and I was throwing an event, and and you showed up, and your delivery, your spoken word was excellent, and then we started to get to know each other as friends.
Yes.
And one thing, and I've been thinking about this as far as the interview, one thing about you, bro, like what you say you're gonna do, you're gonna do it.
Yes.
Since I met you, I remember you talking about credit a couple years ago. Like, I'm gonna build up my credit. I'm gonna get a new car. I'm trying to. I want to buy a house, which I know you're eventually gonna do.
Yes.
And you did it. And then you were like, I'm going to college. I'm going to school. I'm gonna grind it out little by little. It might take some time, and you're about to graduate, ain't you?
Speaking of education, you're a part of the podcast for the Antidote.
Yep.
And you're also being active in that. You're very humble and very grateful for how far you come.
And then you showed up at my mom's house and brought me some food. And that's how brothers do. We bring each other food. That's how real friends are, and I consider you a real friend, bro.
Yeah, I return that favor right back. No questions asked. Yes. Now,
I'm gonna tell you guys real quick, just to show what kind of person Ethan is. Like I said, I've been on shows, numerous shows. Like, I'm on episode, I think, like 34 for my own show. So he gave me a card, guys. And it says on the card, blessed are the givers. And on the inside, and this just shows what kind of person Ethan is. Keep living your life as you create your legacy. The teachable moments are life lessons. You have made your family proud of you. And grateful are the receivers. Thank you so much. From Ethan A. Poetic.
I have to pay it forward and make sure I appreciate your time, but also your influence.
Right.
But speaking of influence, you grew up in the Big Apple, the Bronx Zoo, the Bronx, New York.
South Bronx.
Yes, man. You grew up in an area where things were looking really rough.
Right.
And your mom was determined to make things work there.
Right.
Maybe tell me about that experience living in the Bronx.
I don't remember, to be honest, I don't remember too much about the Bronx. I was, when we moved from New York to Lancaster, I was 6. So it was rough, though, you're right. The reason why we moved from New York to Lancaster is because at that time New York was, literally burning to the ground. Like, there was violence, there was gangs, drugs, and my mother, my beautiful mom, and my stepdad and my sister, we decided to relocate to Lancaster because my grandfather, Lili Pagan, Francisco Pagan, actually opened up one of the very first Spanish restaurants in Lancaster. He opened it up in like 1978. It was called, what was it called? My mind just went blank. El Deportivo restaurant. My grandfather. So he was actually one of my first mentors, one of the first men of color, especially Latino, to be an entrepreneur. So we moved here, and I grew up in Lancaster, pretty good kid. Was really good at sports, played basketball, football. We moved a lot, so I went to like 9 or 10 different schools growing up. I think that's one of the reasons I know so many people to this day, because we went to different schools. And when I was like 13, 14, I started making some bad choices. And mainly I started smoking marijuana at the age of 14. And then that gradually went from, and when I tell the kids, drugs have no pick. So I actually developed a habit. I developed a weed habit. So to support that weed habit, I started selling weed. So when I started selling weed, I've always been the type that I've never done anything like 50% or 60%. I got to go hard with everything I do. So I went hard with the lifestyle, the drug dealer lifestyle. And by the time I was like 18, they called me the one-stop shop. I was selling everything I could get my hands on: coke, dope, heroin, pills, guns, weed. And but I was kind of living living a double life, because I was still doing good in school, still playing sports. I even got a full scholarship to Millersville. But I was gradually moving up in the drug business. And by the time I was 20, I had opened up a business while I was in Millersville, a club. And while I was in the club, long story short, federal agents knocked down the doors, came after me. I actually got away from them. So I was on the run from the federal government for 6 months. And then I got caught, and I was facing 25 years in jail, and ended up doing 9 in federal prison.
But, as we both know, what's done in the dark comes to light. And when it came to light, well, those lights were flashing on you.
Lights, blue and red. Woo, woo, woo.
Yes. But let's retract back to you being a student athlete.
Okay.
You were coached by the honorable, the legend, the late Steve Bird Powell. Yes, you had plenty. Yes, yeah, he has quite the legacy of. Yes, that's definitely true. And you also have great teammates. You guys had a bomb squad team.
Sylvester Gray, who was a state champion in the triple jump, one of the most incredible athletes I ever seen in my life. Shout out to Sylvester Gray. We had Tony Jefferson. We had Keyshawn McFadden, Kemar Christian Snoop. We had Joel Figueroa, Pedro Figueroa, myself. Yeah, we had a good squad. We should have made it further than what we did, but yeah, I loved McCaskey. I'm actually McCaskey's first ever homecoming king. 1996. It was we had our homecoming court, and shout out to Dr. Danielle Brown now, who was my homecoming queen. She was class president. So she decided it was her senior year, and this is a funny story. She said before that it was just the homecoming queen and her date, or her, whoever took her to homecoming, and she would get the homecoming queen, and he was just her date. So that year Danielle decided, I want a homecoming king. So we decided for the first time ever in McCaskey history to have a homecoming king and homecoming queen, and I was McCaskey's first homecoming king.
I don't know what to say, man. You made a Powerball move, but you were very popular in high school, and those votes came in.
Right.
And numbers count. What, you got all those votes, and the woman at the same time, and did you guys do the ride around the track?
Homecoming game, they presented us, they had the homecoming court, and then they announced the winners. It was a pretty dope moment in my life. Danielle's doing exceptionally well now, homecoming queen. She's actually working in the York School District. Just got a promotion. She's shooting for that superintendent. I'm speaking that into existence for you, Dr. Brown. So yeah, I was a heck of an athlete, but like I said, I got caught up. I was on the run for 6 months, and when I got caught, I had to spend 11 months in York County Prison with no charges. My lawyer at the time told me that if they kept me for another month, which would have been a year, they would have to let me go, because by law they have to charge you within a year. So lo and behold, as I was laying in my cell, I got a letter in the mail, and when I opened up the letter, it said United States government versus Johnny Vega. So and that's the same face I made.
Oh, man.
And I said, oh man, like every state against me, like little old me. So I immediately called my lawyer. He said he got the same letter. He came up to see me. We met. We had a lawyer visit, and he basically told me I was in big trouble. And I had 3 options. And one of the options was, he said, I could have you home by tomorrow. And he said, I said, how? And he said, you got to give everybody up. And I couldn't bring myself to do that. So my second option was, we can go to trial. And trial, he explained to me that the feds have a 98.7 conviction rate. So basically, I was going to lose and get 25 years. I would be coming home right now. This was in 2001.
And a 1.5% chance of beating the government.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to wait for. You're gonna need a fatal mistake or a witness not to testify.
There was no way around it. The way the feds work, once they got you, they got you. You can do this 120 months. And at that time, I tried to do the math in my head, but it was like 8 or 9 years with good time. So at the time, I just turned 21. So he said, I'll have you home by the time you're 30. And that just blew my mind. Long story short, I said, okay, I'll think about it. I went back to my cell, cried like a baby, because I figured I'm about to spend the next decade in jail. I got on my knees and I prayed, and this calm came over me. I just asked God. I said, God, if you get me through these next 9 years, I'm yours. I will serve you for the rest of my life. It says in the Bible to give yourself as a living sacrifice to God. So that's what I did, on my knees, face full of tears. I said, Lord, forgive me for selling drugs, forgive me for hurting my family. Just get me through this time, and I'll serve you for the rest of my life. And not only that, but when I get home, I'll make sure that people don't make the same mistakes that I make.
You know, mistakes are very costly in different ways. And for you to lose out on most of your 20s and then you gotta use your
prime time.
Yeah. Yes, you had to use your later years of your life to make up for what you missed out on your 20s. You know, it's very hard going in prison because they don't really rehabilitate you all the way. It's more of, instead of you having a name, you got to announce yourself by a number. That's a very harsh reality. You went from a home-cooked meal, choosing your own living, choosing how you want to live, but more importantly, choosing how you want to spend your time. Instead, you get told how to spend your time. Right. You get told when to wake up. You get told what lights out. Who actually put money on your commissary. And you really get to find out who's really there for you, who's just really in your business versus who's in your corner. Right. And, you know, the mistakes, I'm pretty sure, you know, they're very costly. I'm pretty sure you had that open conversation, you know, about, you know, really making amends in the community. And by doing that, you redeem yourself. Right. And speaking of your road to recovery and redemption for your life, you have been an amazing man who went against the odds and saying, all because you have a certain record shouldn't stop you from being a productive member of society. Right. Because you can't always listen to what someone's saying that's not helping you in your corner. You got to listen to people who's in your inner circle, right. And that's the very few. I have
a great support system to this day. My mom, my dad, my sisters, cousins, friends. I'm truly blessed. Shout out to TCP Network, the network that puts out The Antidote. We're like family. So if I can give any advice to people, watch who you surround yourself with. When I was a kid, I surrounded myself with drug dealers. I surrounded myself with gang members. And eventually, that's what I became. No matter how good of a person you are, no matter how good your intentions are, sooner or later, some of that's going to rub off on you. You know what I mean? So now, as an adult, as a person that's learned from life and lessons, I try to surround myself with positive, motivational people that have the same vision that I have, that have the same goals that I have, and I stay away from. I'll give you the shirt off my back. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if you're a negative person and you just, that energy isn't right, I'll love you from a distance. You know what I mean? But I can't allow your energy to affect my energy. Who you surround yourself with the most is who you like to become and influenced by the most. And the streets lead to defeat, jail, graveyard, right. Or you'll really find out who's really going to be there for your sentencing. Because right. The judges don't care about your sob story. No. Because they're going to say you had a choice to be with the good people or the bad people. Right. And there's plenty of success stories of people who've been around bad people, but they decided to take that extra step and leap of faith and leave the crowd and be alone and find a new crowd that's going to help them become a better and productive person. Right. And you became a better person, not overnight, but over a long period of time. You were in the marathon, not the sprint. Part of that marathon was you being involved with the nonprofit. When I first came home, I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken. And then from Kentucky Fried Chicken, I worked at McDonald's. Grown man making like $300 every 2 weeks. So it was a rough transition, but I was humbled and thankful to be home. And then I got this great opportunity. Shout out to Pastor Jose Jimenez of Teen Haven. There was a job opening there for boys program director, and I applied, and I got the job. And it totally changed my life. It totally changed the direction of my destiny, just because Pastor Jose Jimenez gave me a shot. And it was wonderful. My job was full-time ministry. I don't know if you guys are aware, know of Teen Haven, but it's a great nonprofit organization for youth, faith-based, and it's actually under the umbrella of Water Street Rescue Mission. So we were right there on Queen Street, across from the Save-A-Lot, and for about a year and a half, I was the boys program director. And it was a great experience. I got to work hands-on with kids in the city, and from there I transitioned to SACA, where I worked for Carlos Cupera. Big shout out to Carlos Cupera of SACA, and I started running a program called BART, Becoming a Responsible Teen. And I would go to different schools, different facilities, and actually educate youth on STDs, and the main focus was HIV. So I was in charge of that for SACA with the kids. Then I got the itch for, I started learning more about nonprofits, how they work, and started a nonprofit organization with Curvin Cherry called Fight for Lank. And that was a couple years ago. I got a lot of support from the community. We had the shirts that actually the event that you spoke at was part of Fight for Lank. And Fight for Lank was a street ministry where we went out and prayed for people. We found out the needs of the community, needs of the people in the community, and tried our best either to supply that need or point them in the right direction. From there, I started doing motivational speaking with shout out to Ron James and Dwayne Petty of the Choice Foundation. He gave me a shot. And I started speaking at different schools locally, created a buzz on social media and Instagram, and started getting speaking engagements all over the country. Before the pandemic happened, I actually had about 30 speaking engagements lined up. I had a contract with a school in New York to come and start a mentoring program there, and a contract in New Jersey to start a mentoring program in Jersey. So that's where I left off, and then the pandemic hit. At first, it was a little scary because the world was scared, and but it's crazy how God works, and as long as you have faith in God and trust in your vision and know that hard work pays off, through Zoom and virtual, it's a whole new situation with the speaking. I've actually done summits like in Cali. I've interviewed people all over the nation, all over the world with the antidote. So still plugging away, still helping kids. And we actually have a meeting at Lincoln Junior High next week to start a mentoring program there.
You're a father. You're being present, being active.
Great support system, great family, even through the whole ordeal when I was in federal prison. They truly held me down and never let me down, or I never felt like I was alone in prison. So to this day, my mom, my dad, my sisters, I have cousins, and then friends. And when I mention friends, friend is a really important word to me. It's a strong word. It's a word that's close to love. Love is a strong word, but friendship is a strong word too. So for me to truly call you a friend, like you and I are friends, means a lot to me. So I try to keep the people around me that I do call friends positive, motivational people, because for the first 20 years of my life, the people that I surrounded myself were very negative, were into bad things, and eventually I started making the same choices that they were making. So if I could give any advice to anyone out there, is to watch who you surround yourself with. Watch what kind of energy is around you. And my grandmother used to tell me this old saying where show me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. It sounds better in Spanish, but it's a saying. So, my support system is great. The people are, I have great mentors in my life like Dr. Clyde Rivers, TJ Griffin. You know, Ron James, Dwayne Petty, Jose Rios. These are people that are my mentors. I consider myself a master mentor or a mentor, but these are mentors in my life that you know, when you could probably attest to this. In the type of life that we live, we're constantly pouring out. You know what I mean? Pouring out, speaking life into people, helping others. But then sometimes you need somebody to pour into you and speak life into you. So you need to keep those kind of people around you at all times that are, you know, and people that keep it real with you, are honest with you, even though the truth might hurt sometimes, but people that are willing to deliver that truth to you in love and not trying to break you down, but build you up.
Yeah, I totally agree with pouring in and pouring out into a person's life, because now it becomes reciprocal. Right. And it becomes a two-way relationship, not a one-way. Right. And by having that be the main focus, everything's going to be mutual, everything's going to be consistent, and everything's going to be laid right there on the table where everything's going to get cleared out. My name is Ethan. I had the honor of interviewing Dr. Johnny Vega.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you too, man. Really appreciate it.